Hello and welcome to a new episode of Josh's Car Corner. This is part 2 of Project E38. Made some remarkable progress since the last video I made. But before I show you what I've done, I wanted to show you, because I can understand that a lot of this info talking about all the computers in the GTO and how they all work can be a lot of granular detail and a little bit anal retentive, and it's hard to explain without visualizing it. So I put together some footage showing how the computers in the GTO all interface with each other and how that throws monkey wrenches into the works with what I'm trying to do and the complexities of this project. So I'll show you that first. So what you're looking at here is a diagram of how everything works and talks to each other in the GTO. Now I'm going to start at the top left here. Now if you'll notice, I got a green square and a red square in this diagram. On the left-hand side in the green is everything that speaks on the CAN bus language, or what GM calls GM LAN. The engine control module will talk to the transmission control module if you have an automatic transmission. If you don't, then you don't have a TCU. Don't worry about it. There is this box at the bottom left here, powertrain interface module. So this powertrain interface module takes the CAN bus language and converts it to the old primitive UART serial language. So from there, the information then goes to the body control module. And if you look at the arrows, you have bidirectional communication, because obviously the body control module then says things to the powertrain interface module. It converts that back into CAN bus language and then sends it up to the ECM if there's ever a request from the body control module. And there are plenty. And the body control module, obviously, if you look, controls the gauge cluster, controls the radio, controls the airbags, the doors and the windows, the anti-theft system, and then by extension of that, the fuel pump. So there's actually an immobilizer in there that if the body control module doesn't detect communication and a security link between the powertrain interface module and the ECM, the vehicle cannot start. If you swap out a powertrain interface module with a different one and you don't security link it to everything, the car won't start. If you put a new computer in and you don't security link it to the powertrain interface module using a Tech 2, the car won't start. That's how the anti-theft system works. So you can't just pull modules out of one car and throw them into another. This is a tune file I got from a 2006 Holden Ute. And you can see right here, operating system 12607218. That operating system has to be installed on an E38 or it will never talk to a powertrain interface module. With that operating system, though, you can security link an E38 to a powertrain interface module, and you can make an E38 work in a GTO. Now, why would you want to do that? The 6-speed automatic transmissions that GM came out with need to see an engine with a 58X crank reluctor, i.e. something that runs on an E38. And there are plenty of operating systems for the E38 out there that are designed to work with the segment that controls a 6L transmission. However, Holden never released a version of this operating system with the parameters in it for a 6L transmission. So if I were to go do something like get an operating system and open it up for, say, a 2006 Corvette, which had a 6L80 in it, with HP tuners, if the operating system numbers matched, I could take the segments from a 6L that are in the Corvette tune and swap them into the Holden tune. It's called doing a segment swap. Because you can see right now, the parameters in the Holden tune are for a T42 transmission controller and for an A4 transmission. In this case, it's a 4L65. If the operating system for the Corvette were the same, I could then take the 6L segment from that tune, swap it into the Holden tune. Now my Holden tuned operating system can control a 6L transmission, which means by extension, you could have a 6L80 in a GTO and the factory computer would control it. But because the operating system doesn't match, HP tuners won't allow you to do the segment swap because it says the operating systems are dissimilar. Even though it's the same computer, it won't let you do it. So if someone out there with some computer smarts could figure out how to take the 6L segment out of a Corvette E38 and swap it into this Holden operating system, is once it's in there, HP Tuners doesn't care how it got there, but then you would have the 6L controls and the ability to talk to a T43 built into this Holden tune, and then you could put a 6L80 in a GTO, and you could have, and I found out from my buddy Sean, who did this already with an S10, with the 3.6 out of a G8, he put a 6L50 in it. Not only has he got it all working with the factory cluster, he's got it working with tap shift. He's got tap up, tap down working in a 2002 S10. There's a world of possibilities in these computers if you know what you're doing. But it's going to take a genius to figure out how to do this, because I think you're almost going to have to do it at the binary level. You're going to have to decompile the whole tune file and actually go in and find the memory addresses where the transmission information starts and where it ends, and manually copy that data into this Holden tune. If someone could figure out how to do that, we could all have the option to run a 6L automatic in a GTO, and it would work with tap up, tap down, and it would work with the factory computer and the cluster and the body control module, and everything would work perfectly. Because personally, I hate the 4L transmissions. I think the 6Ls are a much better upgrade. There's plenty of them out there now, and we know that they're robust because guys are running 10-second passes with 6Ls in CTSVs and all kinds of cars. So we know they're a stout transmission. Now, you probably weren't expecting me to bring up the idea of running a 6L in a GTO, but this is one of the ideas I have been working toward achieving in the crewman more than the GTO, but still, I think it would be a great upgrade. And before somebody posts a comment, yes, I am aware of the standalone controller that you can now buy from the company in Arizona, so you can put a 6L in basically anything and run it. I'm trying to do it with factory hardware because no one on the planet, as far as I know, has figured out how to do that yet. But the one cool thing I have been able to do since the last video is to get this E38 computer programmed. So let me show you how we got this guy set up. Okay, so back in the basement working, now we're working on step 2 right now, where we're going to try to program this computer with the Holden operating system. So here's my buddy Sean, who you will see a lot more of, computer genius. He actually created this box and a bench test harness. He uses a lot of E37 computers in his Frankenstein projects that he does, but we're just going to repin it for the E38 right now. And then we're going to fire up his laptop and see if, hopefully, we can throw the Holden operating system in this thing. And if we can, that's another step crossed off the list. Still working on the GTO harness. I found that some of the information I had about what the pins on here do was a little faulty. So to be safe, I'm just going back and I have to check every pin now and figure out exactly what they do. I've already done the gray connector. Now I have to do the black connector, which is a pain because it's 73 pins. So I've got a lot to do here. And then I've got to I'm still gonna have to test the blue harness, but I'm gonna have to see if I can pull that out of the car and bring it down here just to make things a little bit easier. But we'll get this thing fired up and see if we'll be able to do it. So here's the apparatus to do this. This is a power generator, so we got it set up 14.2 volts and the correct pins on here. And then this is the program. So it's downloading the software right now and it's starting to load it in, so fingers crossed, this will work. Okay, we just fired up HP Tuners. The computer is flash, so now we're going to do a read entire and see what it comes up as. So gather info, see if it sees it. 2006 Holden Ute 6-liter V8. Awesome. So now we're going to read it. And this shouldn't take too awful long. Okay, so here we go. We have a saved file. First thing we're going to do is check operating system. Controllers. Yep, there's no transmission controller. But it says, yep, E38 ECM Gen 4 V8 operating system. And this operating system's got to be able to talk to the body control module because Holden used it. This is not the same operating system that the automatic file that we had used, but it's got to work, and that's the important thing. So, yeah, we'll start poking through here and see how many things are different or the same as far as tunability. Well, I imagine a lot of the stuff's going to be in here. Variable camshaft, that is the thing. VVT, I might play with that, but that's in there, so we'll be able to do some stuff. Oh, this is so exciting. So it's got the Holden OS in it for a manual transmission. It is ready to go. The problem I have come to discover is with this harness, which is the factory GTO harness. Found out an unfortunate thing. Well, with the LS1 computers and this P59 PCM, They use round pins on the ECU and they have round pins on the connectors. The E38 has square pins and uses square pins on the connectors. So it's not going to just be a matter of pulling the connectors out of the harness plugs on here and repinning it to the E38 connectors. I actually am going to have to cut the round plugs off and put new square connectors on every single wire as I put them in. So it's going to add some complexity. I ordered 300 pins that are in this box, so I'm going to have plenty of extras. But when the time comes to actually repin the harness, I'm going to actually have to literally repin the entire harness, which makes this a more challenging project than I thought it would otherwise be, but I'm still going to proceed on it. And I've also been thinking about looking online for some sort of a connector, some sort of aftermarket connector with a male and female end, because I'm thinking about taking that harness that's still on the GTO, the body side of it, and cutting it somewhere on the firewall and then putting those connectors on so I can unplug it, take it away from the car, and then bring the side that goes to the old computer in the house with me so I can sit here and repin it with everything else and then take it back to the car, connect it to the connector I put on, and then I can do everything in the house as opposed to doing 2/3 of it here in the house and then the last third of it in the garage in the cold. So that's another thing I'm going to be working on. The project continues. I am encouraged by what I've done so far, and the next step is probably going to be attempting to security link it to a PIM when I get my hands on an extra one. I've got a line on that. Hopefully I'll get one pretty soon, and we'll see if it'll security link. And if it does, that'll be one step closer to making this whole project a reality. So keep looking for updates. Thanks for watching Josh's Car Corner, and I'll see you soon.